a true business owner, like you said, that works on his business and not in his business. So, and I'm actually still dealing with that, right? Still to this day,
Mm.
as a small business. So, it's an ongoing challenge.
Welcome back to another installment of the Next Gen Case Study Series. On today's episode, I have with me Dontae Tyler, who is the founder of OQP Solutions, a cybersecurity consulting firm specializing in governance, risk compliance, and data privacy. With over 9 years of experience in the IT space, Dontae has become a leader in cybersecurity, particularly focusing on enhancing cyber hygiene for businesses and individuals. His company helps organizations reduce their security risk through engaging, easy to understand training sessions and cloud based solutions, which is why we're excited to have him on the show. Dontae, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Navon, for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, man, the privilege is mine. I'm excited too to get into some of the work you're doing with OQP here. I think some of the work that you're up to is going to be pretty intriguing. We were talking just before off camera about what you're up to, and I guess to kick the ball down the field here, Dontae. Let's start with a quick background on who you are, where you came from, and how you came to find yourself being the founder of OQP Solutions.
Wow. You taking me back, man. Just asking me that question because unlike many of a lot of the peers that I've actually checked out next gen studies prior to me coming on, a lot of them are, masters in cybersecurity or took apart electronics as a child. Not my story. Very untraditional path into tech. I would say I stumbled upon it. Also a very spiritual man. So God has a way of, you know, having his hand on certain people. And I truly believe that's me. So like you mentioned, cybersecurity, CEO of OQP Solutions, right? Only quality people solutions. I got that name from Les Brown, who's a motivational speaker. One day I was listening to his speech and he was like, hey, you got to keep only quality people around you. OQP. I was like, that's the name of my company, right? So I shout out to Les Brown for that. And how I got into tech is just, okay, so I'm going to try to wrap this up right in a 30-second spill. I graduated high school in 2010. No plan. No plan in life. Like, I graduated below a 2.0. Senior year, I was suspended about 87 days for the senior year. So I was like not, I was not, I didn't, I was, projected based on statistical numbers to not be where I'm sitting, like on this podcast and, done some of the things that I've done. So graduated with no plan. I barely graduated, got my high school diploma, and I found myself just sitting at home, not doing anything, watching my peers, get acceptance letters to colleges, some going off to the military, some working in business. And I found myself working at a grocery store, making $7.50 an hour. I used to work at Giant. I used to wear a hairnet. I used to slice deli meat. Devon, you never seen me before, but I'm 6'6", 230 pounds. So I have an athletic build. I used to play basketball for a while, and I'm trying to speed the story up. I don't want to be long-winded, but just trying to paint the picture for you to give you some,
Mm-hmm.
you and the audience some background on my story. So I had some tough decisions to make, and shout out to my cousin Angel Jordan, um, monumental, and that stepping stone. And what she did for me is essentially she put the Security Plus certification in my life. And I was able to obtain the Security Plus certification. And literally one day, a government contracting company called and said, hey, are you Dontae? I said, yes. They said, do you have Security Plus? I said, yes. They said, can you pass a background check? I said, yes. And the dream was born. And there I am now in IT. And that was 2014.
Mm.
And since then, I've just been in environments where I've been blessed to have mentorship by seasoned veterans who have, bestowed wisdom upon me. And 9 certifications later, I'm sitting in front of you, And the last thing I'll say is how OQP was born was just hard work. You know, I had got the job at DOD and I had really worked really hard to do a really good job because that's just what I just have a good work ethic. I mean, it doesn't matter where I'm at, what I'm doing. I always like to just do my best. That's how I sleep good at night. And someone took notice of that and changed my life, right? They gave me my first consultant agreement, $60,000 in about 4.5 months. And OQP was born. I needed to get attacked. I needed to figure the tax situation out. And the Les Brown motivational speech came and birth came OQP.
Wow, man, incredibly powerful story. The come like this is truly one of those rags to riches scenarios where it was like, no hope, you don't know what you're doing, you have no guidance, and this just this lucky opportunity kind of falls into your lap, and you get this choice of like, okay, do I pursue this? Do I run with it? Do I lean into it or ignore it and just kind of, keep pacing through life trying to see if there's something else out there? And very brilliant of you to attach yourself to it. Hold on for dear life, it seems. Um, this is a really cool scenario where you really did have to kind of start in that scrappy startup scenario where you're bootstrapping things, you're doing it on the sweat of your brow, you're working really hard. Um, and so you land this first contract, and that kind of gives you some evidence, right? Hey, look, there's this opportunity. You can do something with yourself. You can be valuable. Okay, so then what? What do you do from there? How do you take this opportunity, capitalize on it in a way that allowed you to kind of gain that momentum? Because most businesses fail in the first six months. You know what I mean? If it's not 80 or 90%, I don't know what the statistic is these days. Back in my day, it was like if you made it past that first year, you were in the 90th percentile. You were in the top 10. So to keep going, something was there. You did something right. I really would love to know what that is.
That's a good question. I give testament to just God first, always. Like I strive to keep God first, not super religious, but very spiritual.
Mm.
What I would say is ignorance can really be good and bad, right?
Yeah.
And well, this year and last year has kind of changed for my business landscape mindset.
Mm.
When I originally got that first consulting agreement, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing. Someone just told me I could make six figures. And I was like, well, how? All right. So I go from 43,000 to 120,000 because I'm working on two different contracts, one as a consultant, one W-2. So I was like, OQP is born now. And this is what happens, right? You talk about how businesses fail. That contract doesn't get renewed after about, let's say, 10 or 11 months. So I go from, riding the high, thinking, everything is good and, this is great to, not really understanding as a business owner, okay, you're making money, right? But what's your profit and loss, right? What's your revenue, right? How much money are you putting back into the business? And then COVID happened. So that was 2018, about 2019, COVID happened, which was a good and bad thing for the world, depending on your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And it allowed me to do a reset. And then that reset, it allowed me to take assessment of myself as an individual. And in that individual assessment was me as a business owner.
Mm.
Um, Before you can be a better business owner, you need to be a better self. Like you have to be a better self and be a better leader so that you can be a better business owner. And that starts with just being honest with yourself. Like, hey, I don't have the training. Shout out to Capital Region Minority Supply Diversity Council. I am a minority business. OQP is a minority business enterprise. I was able to get selected into Capital One's um, cohort where they paired us up with a mentor for about 6 months. They gave us access to Udemy Business, and they gave us access to industry experts who allowed us to ask them any questions, give us any information for us to be better minority businesses. And since then, that was 2023. That was very transformational for me as a business owner because I started to understand acquisition. I started
Mm.
to understand um, as a startup, okay, we got an invoice, but it's actually not my money, right? It goes into the business, right? It goes to employees. We got taxes to pay, right? We OQP is actually a corporation, so we have shares, right? We have 401k. So there are different things that I've just had to learn that has just been transformational. So I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's perfect. There's this awakening that happens for you where, okay, I'm working in the business, you're doing a lot of the work yourself, you're doing fulfillment, and I don't know if this is similar to your experience. My experience was I kind of reached this ceiling of like, I only got so many hours in a day. There's only so much I am capable of doing. I'm happy working. However, I've reached a ceiling and I don't like that. I need to break through that and do more. And so that shift, tell me if this is relatable, kind of goes from working in the business to working on the business. Now you don't do the work inside. You come out here and you're like, okay, I need employees. I need more contracts to support those jobs that I've created. I need to get all the paperwork and infrastructure and all the other things put in place and then continue to propel myself forward into whatever that new role is. Is that kind of what your situation was like?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hitting that ceiling. But you ever heard of the story of the tick? If you put a tick in a jar and you put the top on the jar and the tick jumps, eventually you can actually take the top off of the jar and the tick won't go, it won't jump out of the jar because it thinks it's hit its ceiling. So essentially, that's me as a business owner coming in and not even really recognizing that I'm a business owner because I
Mm,
just got a consulting agreement because someone gave it to me. Not gave it to me, but hey, we have a need. I see that you can do the work here, right? Come on board, do the work. And like you said, hit a ceiling. And once you hit that ceiling, I think about Robert Kiyosaki's EIS quadrant, where you and I have been an employee and a specialist, and we have certifications and we have qualifications and years of experience, but we're capped on hours.
mm-hmm.
I'm capped on the amount of money that I can charge per hour. Where that's moving over to that I and B, that investor and business owner, a true business owner, like you said, that works on his business and not in his business. So, and I'm actually still dealing with that, right? Still to this day,
Mm.
as a small business. So, it's an ongoing challenge.
Yeah, yeah. So talk to me about that. What's your approach now that this kind of revelation has happened? You've had a little bit of time to get in there and muck about and figure out, what's working, what's not working. What does that customer experience map look like from like, hey, listen, I have the service, people need to know about it, and then hey, somebody's raise their hand and say, yeah, I like what you're doing, and then they become a client. Like, what does that look like for your business?
So, I have to be honest and transparent, as I always am.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's a ongoing process. It's literally like we're watering our plants. Sometimes they grow, sometimes they don't. And that looks different, right? A lot of OQP business has come through business referrals through relationships,
Right.
right? People will understand that, hey, the story has been up until now. Hey, Dontae actually is a IT guy, but really that's not true. I do cybersecurity, right? Everybody thinks IT, and I'm
Yeah.
like, well, IT is kind of like a general doctor, respectfully, right? And I'm more of a specialist. It's just the same thing if you were to go to a doctor, you say you have back pain, he's gonna look at it, but he's gonna write you a slip and say, hey, you need to go to a specialist. And he actually has a machine that can look at your back that I don't have, right? So that's
Mhm.
more of what I would say I would do. Um, Business referrals have been tremendous in our growth, and we have in the past, just like anyone else, in the past 6 to 9 months, have been exploring AI,
Mhm.
right? How to leverage it to streamline calls. For a while, we didn't do cold calls. It just wasn't organic to me. I was just like, how does it doesn't feel right for me calling up a complete stranger I don't know, I haven't built any trust with, and sell them something. That I'm not in that business, right? I'm that's not the business that OQP is in. We really take time to understand that client, understand that need, and hey, then we'll ask you, hey, well, would you like for us to solve that problem for you? Because we think we're the best solution provider for you. But us generating leads now looks like going to trade shows where our potential our ideal clients, because I think everyone needs cybersecurity, right? At OQP, we have a saying, cybersecurity is everybody problem, right? Everybody, right? That's the saying that we have. It's like, we do that to in our workshops to help people remember as they're online shopping and Facebook ads and scrolling.
Mm.
OQP says cybersecurity is for everybody. Can you say that for me one time? Can you say everybody?
Everybody.
There you go. It's
Yes,
for
sir.
everybody. So um definitely we go to the trade shows and we're just educating, we're just empowering. And if it just so happens we get your business, great, right? But I'm really passionate about cybersecurity. God has really been good to me. So I'm really not after money anymore. I'm just like, that's not my main goal anymore. So
You're taken care of now. You want to go take care of other people
yes,
when the
yes.
when the cup runneth over, as it were.
Absolutely, absolutely. I look at it as what he says. I'm not really a businessman, right? I'm teaching, I'm facilitating, I'm empowering, I'm inspiring people. Um and that's an art, right?
Mm.
And I just happen to do that through tech. That's just really what it is. Like I just happen to do it through tech.
Yeah, yeah. I thought you were gonna go on I'm not a businessman, I'm a business man. Love that. That's my motto since I was like 18, man. This is cool because you know what I love about it is, and just for the record, I read a statistic very recently about where most of new business comes from in cybersecurity, IT, computer stuff like that whole world comes from about 84% of referrals. So for referrals to be a main source, that's not unusual. For you to be out there doing events, putting yourself out there, talking to people, shaking hands, kissing babies, all that kind of stuff. That's the other part of it. That's the other 16% that most of these businesses are doing. So you're very much in line with the way that the industry is, in terms of the way it behaves in acquiring new customers and business. The one thing that I think is really cool about you, Dante, is that you very much have just leaned into who you are as a person, and you're not afraid to express yourself in the way that you do, and that's part of the brand and that's part of the vision, and what I think makes you attractive to other people when it comes time to talk about this. You're talk aboutable, which I get is not a word, but the idea here is that you've done something that so remarkable that people will share that with other people. So where does that come from for you? Is this like something that's kind of, you said earlier that, to be a better businessman, you got to work on self first, then you can work on business. What else? What are some of the other magical elements that have kind of tied things together to create Dante as he is for OQP right now?
I really gotta give it to God. I mean, it sounds so cliche, but I just really been in, you know, I'm from Washington. I don't know if you know it, but I'm from Washington, DC, Southeast. It's
Mm,
not a lot of people that come out of Washington, DC, specifically Southeast,
mm.
um, and are successful. So grit, I would say the power of broke,
Hey.
right? I mean, just having to be creative when you don't have the funding, you don't have the resources, you don't have the expertise, which, you know, we're struggling with that now. I mean, look at the state of the world, right? I mean, when I look at the world now, I want to do good. I like it's no longer about, hey, I'm good. I want to do good. I want to create technology for good.
Mm,
Right? I mean, it's cool to create a social app. It's cool to create, music, but let's create and I'm giving up some of my sauce now, but let's create a app that decreases price gouging amongst all organizations globally, right? I mean, why should when I go to a flight, I'm looking to get a flight. Why is the price fluctuating when I go to Walmart, the price for that product stays the same whether they're running high or low on it,
Mm.
right? So it's things like that that inspire me that, and I think like, wow, I have to actually be a better person to recognize these things, right? And to see these, because I don't think that information has changed things for me. To answer your question, it's
Mm.
the work that I've done, the John Maxwell books, the Jim Rohn talks, the Myron Golden videos, the 10,000 hours that seem like, what Myron Golden has said is like, it just seems like it's not working. It just seems like it's just not working at all, and nothing's happening. You watering it every day. You're doing everything you can, and it just seems like it's just not working. But you have to trust the process.
Mm.
Myron Golden says a tree grows both ways, down and up. And I was just like, wow, mind blown. So to wrap it back up, um, I'm just inspired to do good into the world. And that comes from just my background, my reading. And then I just got to point it out because I feel as though your platform is going to grow. And I hope that this episode does good. It's poor leadership across every industry, across every board. We need better leadership. There are a
Mm.
lot of managers in leadership roles, and they may be good managers, but they're not leaders. Leaders empower, leaders inspire, leaders do. They don't just say, point and direct and delegate. So sorry I'm long-winded, but I'm loving the dialogue, man.
Yeah, man. Listen, it's good to talk about this kind of stuff because if we're not talking about it, then nothing is being done about it. And I think to your point, when the people before us were working on creating things, I don't think that they necessarily had um, nefarious motivations, but what they didn't have was the foresight to see exactly how some of these systems and things that they've created were going to play out. And we're now at the precipice of that happening. There is um, a collision of all of these ideas and things and whatever that we've created, and it's coming to a head. And now we're going, hey, listen, we never stopped to think, we could do this, but we never stopped to think if we should do this. And so I think there's a lot of those things. And yes, there are people out there, or individuals, or businesses, or corporations, or whatever, that might not be making choices that serve a higher good. And I think that that calls for, the people who recognize that to fill in the gap on the other side of that scale. And if nothing else, to create a little bit of balance, but also to pursue something greater. To your point, we have to, somebody somewhere has to stand up and go, hey, listen, I'll take it. I'll do this one. And then go do that. Create a better business that rewards the employees properly so that they can afford to have a sustainable living while also being able to enjoy their life. And I don't think that that's too much to ask from especially from corporations who have billions and billions and billions of dollars. And I'm not saying corporations are inherently evil. I just think that their systems need to be addressed and fixed and adjusted. And so, sure, fair enough. It's a big ship. It's hard to steer. And as old leadership leaves, it makes room for new leaders like yourself, Dante, to step into that role and take that task on. And so kudos to you for recognizing that and and seeing it and pursuing it, I think, with some purpose. On that note, if we look forward at some of your big goals, what's on the horizon for yourself and for OQP and some of the work that you're doing?
um, Thank you again for the comments that I meant to thank you for noticing that, you know, I would say I'm different, right?
Mm.
In a way that I've had to learn that Dante, everyone doesn't deserve my energetic Dante. That
Mm.
everyone isn't gonna like me. I've People have called me this, a disruptor. Like I'll come in. but I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm not like shaking trees to shake them, right? I'm like, well, hey, that's not morally right. Like these people are suffering. Something's not right. Hey, we could do this better, right? Just my programming from all of these hours of just watching Michael Port videos, Brandon Burchard. It's just like, because of these videos of these motivational speakers and industry leaders have given me, I put myself in that environment, had just given me a different lens on a lot of things, right? So you asked me what's next for, OQP and the rest of this year in 2025. It's interesting. I also meant to mention this during, how does OQP generate leads? Well, at the beginning of the year, I took on this cyber hygienist persona. I met with a marketing company and they gave me a playbook. And they suggested exactly what you're saying, right? Be personable. Let people know your story. I'm kind of a behind the scenes guy. I don't really, you're going to see me because I'm very tall, but I like to keep some kind of, mystery to me. Like, oh, did he play basketball? Has he played football?
Yeah.
And it's always funny to watch people, try to figure you out. But since the beginning of the year, I've taken on the cyber hygienist persona, and I've taken on more speaking engagements. So more notably, I spoke at B-Sides in Puerto Rico. I actually hosted a cyber hygiene clinic in Bangkok, Thailand in May. Me and my team traveled there. We mixed with the Bangkok business community and the user community. We educated them on the threats and vulnerabilities and that landscape, because cyber landscapes on different continents look different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, right. And it's so funny. I'm scheduled to go to Australia to speak at API Days on the 6th. I'm supposed to leave Saturday, but my flight got canceled and they refunded me my money. So I don't know if I'm going, but to answer your question, more speaking engagements to grow the brand globally, right? OQP realizes that their cybersecurity is a global market, right? It's not restricted to the United States. We also have are deep into research and development of building some of these tools, and one of them I gave up a little bit of the sauce, right? With the price gouging tool, but it's tools like that I've met. This is why we go to trade shows and conferences. I've met engineers, I've met AI experts, I've met other industry leaders who I feel are rising with me. I don't, not so much trying to reach up all the time, but, partner with those people and industry professionals that are rising with me to create the next, you know, $300 billion IPO, right? But that's going to do good in the world, right? Like, we don't want to be like OpenAI that starts as a nonprofit and then later goes for profit, right?
Mm.
It's those type of moves that we like. OQP wants to be on one of the forefront companies being of the change. Like, you can trust us. We're holding these companies, or we're a part of a consortium that are holding these organizations, these government entities accountable, and we're leveraging AI to do it, right? It's like, why isn't there a way for us to track every single federal spending dollar that goes to every program, and we know where it is, and this live feed data that you and I can just both, oh, where our taxpaying dollars went to this program. Like, why doesn't that stuff exist? So sorry I'm long-winded. I just know that this your platform is going to amplify, and I'm hopeful that people take time to listen in, not just on my episode, but your podcast in general, because I watched a few episodes, and there are some industry experts that you brought in that actually have given me insight, like sales and things of that sort. I can't think of the gentleman's name, but I added him on LinkedIn. So that's what's more speaking engagements, creating products and sales, generating sales through our MSSP services and reseller, Drata, IPVanish, PCmatic. Those are some of our industry partners.
That's really exciting, Dante. There's so much potential in the work that you're doing, and I'm excited for you. I can tell by the energy that you have a lot to say, and I think that you're so much in alignment with, hey, going on speaking tours, putting yourself out there, especially doing podcasts like this. Like, you should do way more. You are very well spoken and articulate. There is so much potential in what you've created, and I'm excited at the prospect of some of the work that you're up to here. Um, as we kind of reach a close of our time together here, Dante, I wonder if I can leave you on one last question. If you could imagine somebody else out there who's up to it, who's trying to create something for themselves, they're facing challenges and struggles, and maybe don't know necessarily what to do next, what sort of advice might you offer them to help keep the momentum and push them forward?
Man, that's a good question. It sounds so cliche, but you first need to understand your purpose. Why are
Mm.
you doing this? Why? Is it for money? Because the motivation will run out. You'll get tired. You'll get burnt out. And even when you have true purpose, I do think that your drive and morale may decrease, right? However, when you have true purpose, like how I have with cyber hygiene, we don't. Every day is not a good day. It's not, right? But I mean, in the cyber world, a boring day is a good day, right? So I'm saying, if a person is looking, if I could give one piece of advice to someone who is has a goal, seeking to achieve this goal, it's not just a one answer, right? But I definitely think it starts with purpose, and then you need to literally, you have to write it down. Devon, you can't see, but I got easel papers all around this office, and it's important for me to see these things daily, right? And putting them on my mind when I come into my office, because you can't hit what you can't measure. I mean,
Mm.
think about it. I've done this as a business owner. I come in and I'm figuratively like a shotgun. Boom. What's okay? And then I'm looking to see what's sticking, what's not sticking. And a part of that was, I don't really understand what my purpose is. I don't even understand fully my client. I don't even understand their pain points. I don't even understand how to give them peace of mind. I haven't listened to them. So all of that, I think, really starts with purpose. Like, if you really truly understand the purpose of why you're doing something, and then you set an intentional goal to achieve it, there's no way you won't get there. Eventually you will. I mean, how do you move from one side of the room to the other? You have to start moving. You have to start doing things. You have to start taking steps, what they call action. So purpose, I think if you find your purpose and you're spiritual, everything will align itself. I promise. I promise it will.
Man, really powerful advice. I love the vivid imagery of, you know what, you're gonna have bad days. And if you don't have the right purpose driving you, the bad days are gonna be harder than they need to. And so if you attach yourself to that purpose, that will help you get through those bad days when it's maybe doesn't feel like you're doing anything meaningful, or you don't really want to be up to whatever you're up to. So really, really powerful advice, Dante. If somebody wanted to reach out to you to pick your brain or perhaps work with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Best way to contact me is on LinkedIn at Dontae Tyler. You can definitely connect with me on LinkedIn, as well as Instagram. That's going to be the THA Cyber Hygienist. Um, that is on Instagram, and email info at OQP, O as in Oscar, Q as in Quebec, P as in Papa, dash solutions.com. So that's the best way to reach me. But I do have one question for you, actually, because I haven't seen anyone ask you any questions in the interviews I watched. And I think most times podcasters are like barbers. It's like they cut everyone's hair, but their hair isn't cut, right? I think, right? So
The
I'm
mechanic's dilemma, I call it.
So, before I came on, I definitely did some preliminary research because I care about the platforms that I go on because I want them to align with the morals and principles that I stand for. And I care about where I go in the environment. So I seen Brandon Curtis, I seen you. Shout out to the work you guys are doing. The small business community needs those leads. I'm interested in, definitely that service. Not I'm Because we haven't really pursued it as the AI cold calls is because we really like that personal interaction. I think that that's where we really strive. But my question for you specifically is ultimately, what is the end goal of next gen case studies? Like, is this Joe Rogan eventually lane? Do you, I read up and I see that obviously this is going to be a knowledge base of videos for clients to come and get insight for free. I love it. I love the no barrier to entry. That's what I would call that. I
Mhm.
love it. But what's the end goal, right? Do you take this thing globally? Do you take it nationally? Do you do in person? Because I inquired about doing in person because I was really interested in meeting you, right? Like I'm an in person guy. I want to shake your hand. I want to feel your energy.
Mm.
So what do you see for the future for next gen case studies?
Oh, that's yeah. It's not often that the mirror gets turned around and pointed back at me. To answer your question as clearly as possible, there are some people in the world that I'm going to be able to help, and there are some people in the world that I'm not going to be able to help. Um, Obviously, there is a a need for commerce, and that is kind of the backbone of our capitalist society. Is that if I can do something for you, then we can exchange resources. And um, some people I can help by exchanging resources. Some people don't have the resources to exchange, and so I've always felt like a responsibility to add value the uh, into the community, into the ecosystem, into the areas where I have the ability to add value, right? So if we were to be talking about marine biology, I got nothing for you. I can't help you. I watched Free Willy. I cried. It was a great movie, but that's as far as I got, Dante. But when it comes to building a business, finding customers, helping serve people with products and services, I think that I'm really good at connecting people. I think that that's the one thing that I'm good at. That's the skill that I've developed is communicating well. And so if I can have really incredible conversations with really intelligent people and through that provide value to other people who can then go forth into the world and do good, then I feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose. And that I think that most succinctly describes what I do. Beyond that, all the products and services that NextGen offers and everything that we can do for you to take you to the next level. If it starts with the podcast and you can grow your business from there and then get into a place where, hey, listen, we need more support. That's ultimately the goal is if we can bring you into that and you trust us more because we helped you get there, even better. And if we couldn't help you, open to the feedback. We would love to hear from people, comments, questions. Where else can we explore that would allow us to add the value into the ether? So I hope that answers your question, Dante.
No, it that does, and I think that that aligns with some of OQP's values, where we just want to do good, man. Like,
Mhm.
just we found our passion, we found our purpose, and we want to do good. I would welcome the opportunity to, explore more conversations about scaling. Right? You talked about being a business owner earlier. I should have mentioned this, but starting a business and scaling a business is two totally different things.
Yes, sir.
And I've had to learn that, like, what's a go-to-market strategy, right? Like, what's a serviceable, addressable market, right? What's the target addressable market? How much of that market are we going to get in the first 5 years? And I mean, the learning curve for that, for me, like, is so much. But great answer. I like I said, I'm interested in learning more about how I can. And this is the last rant I'll go on. I promise I won't say anything else about this. I'm a visionary. We, as humans, you and I, the good people who do good for technology, we build it for good things, have to keep security in mind when building these things, most certainly. Like that, I think that is like of the utmost importance, um, building these things with security in mind, but then also building systems that are for good. Like I can't stress that enough. And not this is where we have to draw the line. We can't use machines to do everything. There needs to be people like myself who start talking to legislators and policymakers and even getting into these positions to say, hey, we're going to draw a line in the sand. Companies and corporations can't have more than X amount of percentage of machines. And we have to, and when I say we, globally as a society have to find that balance of what you're talking about, because things are colliding. I mean, look at the port strike. That's only a very small snippet of what's to come. Because once autonomous vehicles really take off, now we won't have truck drivers on the highways anymore. Then they're going to strike, right? So it's up to us now to write policies and not wait for Congress to push them through. We, as a society, as users and business communities, must hold these organizations accountable. How do you do that? You don't use their products. That is how you get stakeholder attention. I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
The money goes down, everyone turns their head. I promise you, that is how you turn stakeholder head. But because of the convenience of technology, we just constantly just want to use. So we're gonna hit a real bumper car. I don't know when, but our robot is coming. NVIDIA's processors are gonna get faster in the next 2 or 3 years. The flying cars, the drones, it's here. The TVs that open up like this, the it's here. We must draw the line in the sand between man and machine. That's the last thing I'll say. But great answer. Looking forward to working with next gen case studies to scale OQP to the next level, to get to global markets.
Man, I can't agree with you more. We as consumers vote with our dollars, and it's important that we do that intentionally. On that note, man, this has been an incredible conversation. You've been very generous with your time and your wisdom, and I'm grateful for that. I will make sure to link to everything in the show notes to make sure that people can find you easily. And for anybody that's watching or listening, if you want to get in touch with me for any of your AI or marketing needs, you can visit nextgengrowth.com. Otherwise, that's it for this episode. Thanks for joining us for this conversation, and I will see you in the next.